BJ Mafia was popping. So last night, the NBA did release their Eastern and Western Conference starters in the All-Star game this year in Salt Lake City. Both LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo for the second consecutive year will be the captains, and respectively so. But the biggest issue I take with this list is, where the hell is Joel Embiid? And he was robbed of being a starter in this year's All-Star game. And to me, it's not even close. So let's talk about it. So the first and biggest reason as to why Joel Embiid was robbed of being a starter in this year's All-Star game is because of his production. Now, Joel Embiid has been the best player in the Eastern Conference by far this season. Giannis Antetokounmpo, to me, is still the best player in the world. But when you're talking about production and true dominance this season in the Eastern Conference so far, it's been Joel Embiid by far. And I think Embiid has been the most destructive force in the Eastern Conference. Right now, Philly has won 19 out of their last 23 games. And over that 23-game stretch, they have a 121.3 offensive rating, the biggest offensive rating that they've had in their franchise's history over a 23-game span. And both the Philadelphia 76ers are number 6 in offensive and defensive efficiency. You got to give a lot of credit to Joel Embiid and what he's done for the team. And Embiid's also averaging 33, 10, and 4 and 53% from the field. And that's amazing efficiency coming from a guy of his size. And we know the kind of talent that Joel Embiid is. Yes, we know he can be a free throw merchant at times, but there's no stopping a true dominant big man like Joel Embiid. The way he can play defense, the size that he brings inside the paint, his mid-range, his ball handling skills, and obviously James Harden's helped to alleviate a lot of that pressure off of him. Joel Embiid's production says it all, and that's the biggest reason why he got robbed. Now, the second issue I take with really the All-Star voting and why Embiid was robbed is because we play in a modern era of positionless basketball. I understand that two front court guys and Kevin Durant and both Jason Tatum got in the Eastern Conference over Joel Embiid, also Giannis Antetokounmpo, so I don't really take anything away from those guys. Those guys, rightfully so, should be starters in the Eastern Conference. But if I had to take a guy out, I'm taking Kyrie Irving out. I'm not taking Donovan Mitchell out because he has been consistent and he's been in the MVP conversation all season long with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Kyrie Irving, he can get out of there, and I understand that it's in the backcourt, but we play positionless basketball. The system should not be where fans are voting front court, backcourt. It should be the best players in the East and the best players in the Western Conference. That should be it. Jason Tatum is the prime example of this to me. If Jason Tatum wants to go play the 1, he can go play the 1. If he needs to go play the 5, he can go play the 5. We are literally in an era of positionless basketball. I understand Joel Embiid is a 5. He is a big. But we should not be voting front court, back court in today's modern NBA. That is absurd, especially when we're talking about an All-Star game. Now, I do kind of want to move off Joel Embiid and really talk about some of the reserves that I have predicted making this year's All-Star game. Some of the guys that I think are on the fringe. I'm not going to go through the entire list. Just a couple of guys I wanted to talk about. But I do want to say with the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, otherwise I had no issues. In the West, you had Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron, Zion, and Nikola Jokic. None of those guys I had a problem with starting. And then obviously in the Eastern Conference, you had Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I already said my piece with that. But let me talk about a couple of reserves that I actually think should make it, and these guys are probably going to be on the fringe. The first one that's going to come to mind is Darius Garland. And while Darius Garland did miss the beginning of the season, he's really helped this Cavaliers team take that next step up alongside Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, and the entire team is doing a great job. But Darius Garland's averaging about 22, 3, and 8 this year, shooting about 40% from deep. And we know the kind of talent that a guy like Darius Garland, and he is going to be a fringe reserve in my opinion, but I do think that he should make it in this year's All-Star game. Another guy I want to talk about is with the duo of Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle has been mightily underrated. If you're not watching Knicks games, you're probably missing out because Julius Randle has truly been a dominant player this year. Now, last year, there was a lot of criticism with him really having a slump after his All-Star campaign breakout year the year before, but Julius Randle plays his ass off. He's rebounding significantly better this year. He's playing with a lot more efficiency, and he's just doing a lot more to help the Knicks out. And Jalen Brunson, who was the overpaid player this offseason that kind of reset the market, and everyone said that the Knicks overpaid for a guy like Jalen Brunson. He's came in and been a solid and productive player. Both of those guys for the Knicks are deserving of getting into the All-Star game this year. Those guys are both going to be fringe, but I do believe that Brunson and both Julius Randle should make it. And then last one in the Eastern Conference, Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton has been a little bit banged up these last couple of weeks, but we know the kind of 3-and-D player that he is, one of the best young elite talents in the game at the point guard position, a true facilitator of the ball. Tyrese Halliburton absolutely should make it. Then transitioning into the Western Conference, another duo that should make it, no questions asked, is the Sacramento Kings duo with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Both of these guys have overachieved and exceeded expectations this year. We knew that Sacramento was going to be a lot better this season with the young development of their core. But what they've been doing this year has been sensational to watch. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, both of these guys should absolutely make this year's All-Star game. They have the Sacramento Kings at the number 3 seed in the Western Conference right now. Just phenomenal play. And the last guy I want to talk about that's going to be a fringe all-star type of player but absolutely should make it is going to be Utah Jazz's forward Lauri Markkanen, aka the finisher. Now, am I going to be a little bit biased? Of course I'm going to be a little bit biased. But Lauri Markkanen has been dominating since day one with the Utah Jazz. This is something that Cleveland and both Chicago saw a lot of potential in him, but they never really got that level of production out of him. But him being the number 1 option and really having an opportunity to flourish in Utah and making Utah a respectable team. We're sitting at about a 500 record right now. And Markkanen's the only player in the NBA right now averaging over 23 plus points per game and still shooting over 40+% from deep. He's doing a phenomenal job this year, extremely efficient, and just one of the catalysts for the Utah Jazz and all of their success this season. Now, obviously, we did just get the starters, and I did talk about that a little bit, but I did want to mention a few of those fringe reserves that I thought should deserve to make that All-Star game this year. But when the All-Star reserves do get dropped in a couple of weeks or whenever it does come out for the NBA, I will be talking about that. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, man, make sure you guys drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. And if you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more NBA content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure you guys go follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below. I just made an Instagram and I just made a TikTok this past week too. Really posting all of my sports content on there too, so you guys can go check that out. Like I said, the link tree will be in the description down below. But thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ. I'm out, y'all. Peace.